In this section, we will be going through volume of cubes and cuboids. Alright, the volume of an object is the amount of space inside an object. Now we measure volume in cubic units such as cm cube, meter cube, milliliter or liters. Alright, now you would have learned in your primary school, or even if you have not, I'm going to give you the volume of a cuboid is equals to length times breadth times height. So it's length times breadth times height as short form, L times B times H. Now volume of a cube is also length times breadth times height. But since length is equals to breadth is equal to height for a cube, the volume of a cube is L times L times L, which will be L cube. Alright? Now since this is the case, for a cube, the length is just the cube root of its volume. Alright, cube root of its volume. I will come to this formula again in the subsequent examples. Now, let's take a look at work example 5. Now, this is a cube. A cube means all the sides must be the same, and it's 2 cm. I want to find the volume. So this is 2 cm, this is 2 cm, this is 2 cm. So length times breadth times height. 2 times 2 times 2, I will get an 8 cm cube. Alright, so this is called the volume of a cube. Now, next, we are going on to volume of a cuboid. Now, let's take a look at this cuboid. It's 3 meter, 1 meter, 4 meter. So the volume of the cuboid is 3 times 1 times 4, which will give you 12 meter cube. Okay, so just remember, volume of a cuboid or a cube is length times breadth times height. But because for a cube, the breadth is equals to height, so you multiply by the same thing 3 times. Okay? Now, next, let's look at try it 5. This is again a cube, and the side is 4 cm. So the volume of the cube will be 4 times 4 times 4, which will give you a 64 cm cube. Alright? In part B, we have a cuboid. So the volume will be 10 times 3 times 4, length times breadth times height, and it will give you a 120 meter cube. Okay, so that is how we find the volume of a cube and the volume of a cuboid. Alright, now for work example 6, we are doing it the other way round. Now they give us a cube in part A and tell us that it's 125 cm cube. We want to find the length of one side. Now remember the formula that I've given you just now. Volume, when you take cube root, you will get the length of the cube. Okay, so to get the length of the cube, I take cube root of 125, which is 5 cm. Now this cube root 3 here must be written small, not big. Okay, so this is a cube root. You should write it this way. With a little 3 here, that will mean cube root. Alright, now if the volume is 27 meter cube, we want to find the length. You will take the cube root of 27, which will give us a 3 meters. Alright, so when we are given the volume of a cube, we want to find the length, we just need to take the cube root in order to find the length of one side. Okay, alright. Now, let's look at try 6. They gave us 2 questions, part A and part B. This is a cube, that means all the lengths are the same. Volume is 729, so if you want to find the length, we take the cube root of 729, will give us a 9 cm. Likewise, in part B, they gave us the volume as 64 meter cube. So in order to find the length, it will be cube root of 64, which will give me a 4 meters. Okay, so this will be how we find the length of one side of the cube given the volume. We have to take cube root. Okay, now we are moving on to more difficult examples. Now let me explain this example in detail. Now, this is work example 7 found in your textbook. A water tank is in the shape of a cube of length 1.2 meters. It is filled with water to a height of 0.8 meters. Find the capacity of the tank, the volume of water in the tank. Now, capacity is another word for volume. So the capacity of the tank means they want to find the volume of the whole tank. Now, this is 1.2. This is 1.2, and this whole height will be 1.2 as well. So the capacity of the tank will be 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2, and if we key to the calculator, we will get 1.728 meter cube. Okay? Alright, now next part. Find the volume of water in the tank. Now, water is filled up to the height of 0.8. The water in the tank is also in the shape of a cuboid, because this is 1.2, 1.2, and the height is 0.8. So, in order to find the volume of water in the tank, is equivalent to finding the volume of this cuboid that I've shaded. So, volume of water will be 1.2 times 1.2 times 0.8. So, the volume of water is 1.152 meters cube. Alright? Because the water is not filled right up to the top. So, this particular part that I've shaded is actually a cuboid with this length, this breadth, and this height. Therefore, I will have to use the formula length times breadth times height in order to find the volume of the water. Okay? Now, next, try 7 is another similar question to work example 7. Okay, let's look at it. A fish tank is in the shape of a cuboid. It is filled with water to a height of 40 meters. Find the capacity of the tank, the volume of water in the tank. As I've said, capacity means volume. If you want to find the volume of the tank, we must take 90 times 30 times 60. So we will get a 162,000 cm cube. Now next, part B, they want to find the volume of water in the tank. Now the volume of water in the tank have this length, this breadth, but the height is here, 40. So we will have to take 90 times 30 times 40, which will give you a 108,000 cm cube. Alright, so this is how we apply the volume of a cuboid in real life situation. Okay, now next we go on to something that after this particular example, I will give you a formula to remember. Now let's look at this example. A tank in the shape of a cuboid has a rectangular base of area 100 meters square. That means this has got area 100 meters square. It is filled with 700 meter cube of water. Find the level of water H. That means what is the height here. Now, this 100 is actually the area of the base which we have gotten with for length and breadth and height. So, length times breadth is actually 100 because this is the area of the base. So, we know that volume of cuboid is length times breadth times height. As I've shown you, area of base is length times breadth. Okay, so we will have area of base times height is 700 because they told you that it is 700 meter cube. Now we know that the area of base is 100, we put it inside, 100 times H is 700, so H will be 700 divided by 100, which will give me a 7 meters. Okay, now I repeat. Length times breadth is 100 because it gives you the area, I repeat again. Length times breadth is 100 because it gives you the area of the base. Okay, length times breadth times height will give you the volume of the water, therefore it's 700. So length times breadth times height is 700, and we know that length times breadth is area, so we substitute in or put in the value, then we evaluate or calculate, then we get 7 meters. Now this can be summarized in this particular formula. The height that is required to be found will be the volume of the cuboid divided by the area of base. You may like to write this formula down in your textbook on a blank space. Okay, write this somewhere in the blank space that is in your book. Alright? Okay, now, next, I'm going to try 8, which is similar to work example 8. A tank in the shape of a cuboid has a rectangular base of area 3000 cm square. It is filled with 90,000 cm cube of water. Find the level of water H. Alright, I'm going to use the formula which I have previously introduced. Height is equals to volume of cuboid over area of base. So, since the volume of the water is 90,000 cm cube and the base area is 3,000, I will get 90,000 divided by 3,000 in order to get h, which will be 30 cm. I'm applying the formula which I've given to you earlier. Okay, now in the next section, 10.3, I'm going on to what we have already know, that is a square, square root, cube and cube root. Okay, now the square of n is actually n square. The square root of n is this simple here, square root of n. The cube of m is m cube, and the cube root of m is cube root with little 3 m. Okay, we have done this in our algebra before. Alright, now let's look at word example 9. Square of 5 means 5 square. If you key in the calculator, you get 25. Square root of 49 means you put the sign square root 49. This will be equals to 7 if you key in your calculator. Cube of 8, 8 cube, key in calculator, 512. Cube root of 1000, key in cube root 1000, calculator will give you answer 10. Alright, we have done this before when we did our previous chapters. So this is just a revision. Okay, now then we are going on to try 9. Okay, they say find the following. Square of 4, so we key in calculator, 16. Square root of 64, 8. Cube of 7, 343. Cube root of 216, 6. So all these can be done by keying in the calculator, and this is just a revision from your previous chapters. Alright, so this will conclude section 10.2 and 10.3, which mostly deals with volume of cubes and cuboids, square, square roots, cube and cube roots.